The collapse of cryptocurrency exchange FTX is the subject of scrutiny from government investigators in the Bahamas right now. They're looking at whether any criminal misconduct occurred in one of the highest profile crypto blowups after traders rushed to withdraw $6 billion from the platform in just 72 hours. And I'm joined by chartered market technician Adrian Zdoychuk. Thanks so much for joining us today, Adrian. Now, the collapse of FTX has really affected so many people. It's tragic. I mean, how far-reaching is this? How much have investors lost?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ramia. I honestly think this is extremely negative impact overall coming from this FTX collapse. You know, I myself, I was a customer there. I was a client. I didn't get hurt, luckily. This year has been definitely, much luck for me, but not so much luck for so many people, because, like, in honesty, the people whom I would consider to be like elite of the crypto world, like this proper, very highly experienced traders, about 70% of them actually got hurt, significantly, and we're talking about 6-7 figure like losses. Those are like very big numbers from very considerable experienced people. So I would think that this is a very deep cutting, wound that is going to take years and years to heal. We know that there was this overall quote unquote hack that happened very recently, which was fairly confirmed to be an internal hack. This was purposed money move out of the exchange and to be placed somewhere else, with a large withdrawal of hundreds of millions of the worth of cryptocurrencies. So long story short, I would argue that this is a very deep cutting hole that is going to take years to recover.
And we talk about the repercussions of this. I mean, what's the risk of a serious market collapse? Are other crypto exchanges in danger of having their clients withdraw their funds? I mean, we're hearing of heavy withdrawals at crypto.com.
Yeah, that's correct. I would argue that, again, just mainly because it's a little bit of this panic loop that is starting up. I would say that this brings significant risks on the liquidity side, right? Because many exchanges, many projects that were dependent and really relying on the FTX, which was a very trustworthy name at the time, are basically right now secretly insolvent, right? They are really struggling hard right now to cover the actual liquidity, let's say, in the withdrawals. So FTX, of course, collapsed, and it caused a lot of I would say overall chaos and uncertainty and panic, right? So people naturally rushed and just, to perform a little bit of this panic mode run, just like, you would run for the bank, right? For the liquidity crisis. So this is exactly what we're experiencing with the exchanges. And despite, highly reputable CZ, the CEO of Binance, actually tries to manage the risk in terms of ensuring the safety. I think they are doing a really good job. However, it doesn't heal this overall problem that started existing, because, like I said, people have suddenly, all of a sudden, overnight, lost trust to the exchanges. They withdraw and continue to withdraw an insane amount of money in fear of liquidity crisis, which additionally empowers this liquidity crisis to exist. So I would argue that this is a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but when uncontrolled and full of a lot of chaos and uncertainty, it can really become very dramatic, not only to the liquidity on the exchanges, but as a result also to the market, as people typically sell off into the panic.
And you mentioned Binance's chief executive. He's calling for stable and clear regulations for the crypto industry. Will this help repair any lost trust? I mean, can trust be won again?
Yeah, I think, it will, of course, take time to recover and rebuild this trust. Once it's lost, it takes typically, longer time to build it, because this is a little bit like a house of cards, right? It takes years to build it, but then once it's lost, you actually, may take, it can be lost in like overnight, simply. It's such a crash that it happened recently. And once it's lost, it takes years and years to rebuild. So I would argue that regulatory side to it, of course, if not over-regulated, I think it can help to rebuild this trust, right? Because people want to feel protected. People want to have their actual certainty and their trust in terms of like the money that they're storing. So overall, it can help. But it's very important, I think, for all the regulators to understand that the situation cannot be far-fetched in terms of like exceeding the regulations, right? In terms of like over-regulating, because if this industry is overstimulated and overregulated, then I would argue that the significant edge and advanced advantage that this entire crypto industry had always had over the other markets, is going to slightly disappear, which may paradoxically kill this environment, in its still early stages, right ahead of the biggest potential adoptions to become.
And we've seen the fallout, bringing Bitcoin and other cryptos really under pressure today. What's going on with Bitcoin? It's around $16,000. How low could it go? And for that matter, what's the outlook for other cryptos right now?
Yes, this is a perfect question because, in all honesty, for my market analytics, the way I approach it from the technical point of view, you cannot really know what's going to happen in the future. You can only guess, make some more mathematized, educated guesses, but it's always going to be about this risk control and management. Cryptocurrencies outside of Bitcoin, of course, tend to get hit much stronger when Bitcoin takes a hit as well. So I would argue that when there's enough of panic in the Bitcoin, it's likely going to transfer and translate to even bigger panic on other cryptocurrency assets. So I would argue that $12,000 is a fair expectation to be had. However, again, there is no guarantee that if there is like another all of a night situation that changes the tone in the market positively for whatever reasons, that it may actually, of course, back it up and level up the prices aggressively. However, that doesn't seem to be promising. That doesn't seem to be likely right now. I would argue that with all this insecurity from the traders, again, the bigger chances are that we're looking to the downside. Especially the overall macrofinance and macroeconomic environment is not still good. High interest rates do not definitely favor Bitcoin and other risk assets. We're talking about still high inflation, which needs to be tamed, high energy prices. So this is all withdrawing capital out of the people's money, which after FTX collapse, they have it even less of it.
Fantastic analysis there. Chartered market technician Adrian Dunschik, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ramia. Thank you for having me.